Kongdeho stood in chains before the Galactic Tribunal. The massive chamber stretched above him like a metal cathedral. Hundreds of alien faces stared down from floating platforms. Their eyes glowed with different colors, blue, purple, orange. None looked human. The Vorthic Chancellor, Veltar, sat on the highest platform. His gray skin looked like old leather. Sharp teeth showed when he spoke. Human Kongdeho, you stand accused of assault on a superior being. How do you answer? Deho lifted his chin. Blood still dried on his knuckles from 3 days ago. I hit him because he deserved it. Gasps echoed through the chamber. Several aliens made clicking sounds with their tongues. The translator in Deho's ear turned their words into human speech. Barbaric, typical human violence. They cannot control themselves. Veltar's eyes narrowed. You struck trade official Kexthan during negotiations. He was conducting legal business with your colony. Legal? Deho's voice rose. He wanted 3 times the normal price for medicine. Children were dying. He laughed when I told him that. The price was set by market conditions, another alien spoke. This one had purple skin and too many arms. Your people should have planned better. Deho pulled against his chains. The metal cut into his wrists. Plan for what? For you to jack up prices when people got sick? For you to treat us like animals? You are animals, Kexthan spoke from his healing pod. Bandages covered half his face where Deho had hit him. Your species knows only violence. This proves it. The chamber erupted in agreement. Clicks, hisses, and strange musical sounds filled the air. Deho stood silent in the center of it all. He had known this would happen. Every human did. The galaxy saw them as violent children who needed constant watching. His sister, so young, sat in the human section. Only 20 humans lived on this station, all of them workers or traders. She was the only scientist among them. Her dark eyes met his across the room. She looked afraid but proud. Veltar raised one clawed hand. The noise stopped. The crime is clear. The human attacked without cause. The question now is punishment. Execute him, someone called out. Too merciful, another voice said. His whole species needs to learn. Exile the humans from this sector. Make them pay compensation for the next 100 years. Deho listened to them decide his fate like he was not even there. This was how it always went. Aliens talked about humans like they were objects. Things to be controlled or thrown away? Veltar stood up. His robes flowed around his tall frame. The tribunal has decided. Kongdeho will serve 50 years in cryo-imprisonment. The chamber went quiet. Even the other humans looked shocked. Cryo-Jail was new. They froze criminals instead of keeping them in regular prisons. Time stopped for the prisoner. They aged nothing. Felt nothing. 50 years would pass like a single night. The human will be frozen until he can learn to control his violent nature. Veltar continued. Perhaps when he wakes, he will be ready to rejoin civilized society. This is insane. So Young stood up in the human section. 50 years for one punch? How is that justice? Dr. Park, sit down, the human representative whispered. Do not make this worse. But So Young kept talking. My brother was protecting children? He did what any decent person would do. Any decent person would have followed proper channels, Veltar said. His voice carried no emotion. Violence is never the answer among civilized beings. Civilized? Deho found his voice again. You let children die for profit and call that civilized? We follow the law. You follow your base instincts? Veltar gestured to the guards. Take him away. Begin the freezing process immediately. The guards moved toward Deho. They were Krell-tall aliens with 4 arms and skin like rock. They did not speak as they unlocked his chains and fitted him with transport restraints. Wait, Deho called out as they pulled him toward the exit. The whole chamber turned to look at him. You think this will break humanity's spirit? You think 50 years in ice will make me bow to you? Veltar tilted his head. It will make you understand your place. Deho laughed. The sound was harsh in the quiet chamber. You haven't learned anything about us, have you? We don't break. we don't bow. And we sure as hell don't forget. Empty words from a primitive mind, Veltar said. When you wake, the galaxy will have moved on without your kind. Maybe, Deho said as the guards pulled him through the doorway, but I'll still be angry. The last thing he saw was his sister's face. She mouthed words he could not hear through the chamber's force field, but he knew what she said. I love you too, so young. The cryo facility sat in the station's lower levels. White walls and humming machinery filled the corridors. Scientists in clean suits moved between massive freezing units. Each unit held a single prisoner in suspended animation. Dr. Yexmal, the facility director, reviewed Deho's file. 50 years for assault. Unusual sentence for such a minor crime. The tribunal wanted to make an example, one guard said. Show the humans what happens when they step out of line. Humans, Dr. Yexmal made a dismissive gesture. Such an angry species. Perhaps the cold will cool his temper. They strapped Deho to a medical table. Tubes and wires connected to his arms and chest. The freezing chamber looked like a metal coffin with a glass top. Blue liquid filled the bottom. Any last words, human? Dr. Yexmal asked. Deho stared. At the ceiling. When I wake up, nothing will have changed. You'll still be bullies. We'll still fight you. That's what humans do. Perhaps. But you will be alone. 50 years is a long time. Your people will forget you. Humans don't forget, Deho said. We remember everything, every slight, every injustice, every friend we lose. He turned his head to look at the doctor. And we always get even. Dr. Yexmal activated the chamber. Cold spread through Deho's body like ice water in his veins. His vision blurred. The chamber's lid closed above him. Sleep well, angry human, Dr. Yexmal said. When you wake, perhaps you will be ready to join the civilized galaxy? But Deho's last conscious thought was not about civilization or forgiveness. It was about the children on the colony who had died while aliens haggled over medicine prices. It was about his sister's tears as the guards dragged him away. It was about every human who had ever been told they were too violent, too primitive, too angry to matter. The cold took him then. Time stopped, his body froze solid. His mind went dark, but somewhere deep inside, in a place the cold could not reach. His anger waited, patient, unchanging, ready to burn again when the ice finally melted. 50. Years began to pass in the space between heartbeats. The first thing Deho felt was pain. Sharp, burning pain that shot through every muscle in his body. His lungs felt like they were on fire as he gasped for air. The taste of metal and chemicals filled his mouth. He opened his eyes to flashing. Red lights, emergency alarms screamed through the facility. The chamber that had held him was cracked open like a broken egg. Blue freezing fluid leaked across the floor. Deho tried to sit up. His arms shook like an old man's. Everything hurt. His skin felt raw and sensitive. The medical tubes that had been connected to his body hung loose and sparking. Finally awake, a voice said behind him. Deho turned his head slowly. A young man stood in the doorway. He wore dirty work clothes and carried a tool bag. His face looked human, but something was wrong. He was too thin. His eyes were too big, like he had not eaten enough for a long time. Who are you? Deho's voice came out as a croak. Nam Ki-jun, the man said. He moved closer but stayed ready to run. I'm a maintenance worker. Been watching your chamber for weeks, waiting for the systems to fail completely. Weeks? Deho tried to stand. His legs gave out immediately. Ki-jun caught him before he hit the floor. Easy there, old-timer. Your body needs time to remember how to work. Ki-jun helped him sit on the edge of the broken chamber. Those muscles haven't moved. In 200 years, 200? Deho stared at him. That's impossible. I was sentenced to 50 years. Ki-jun laughed, but there was no humor in it. Yeah, well, the galaxy had other plans. Your release date came and went. Nobody cared enough to wake you up. The facility around them was falling. Apart, pipes leaked strange colored fluids. Machines sparked and died. Dust covered everything like snow. This place had been abandoned for years. Where is everyone? Deho asked. The guards, the scientists, the other prisoners? Gone. This whole station was evacuated 50 years ago. Some kind of budget cuts? They moved all the important prisoners to newer facilities. Kijun helped Deho to his feet again. Left you and a few others behind by mistake. Mistake? Rage began to build in Deho's chest. Even after 200 years, the feeling was familiar. They forgot about me? Pretty much. Your file got lost in the transfer. Computer systems failed. Nobody remembered there was still a human in Cryo-Jail. Kijun looked at the broken machines around them. If I hadn't been checking the old maintenance logs, you'd have frozen to death when the power finally died. Deho took a shaky step forward. His body was getting stronger by the minute. The anger helped. It always had. How do you know all this? And why do you look human? Kichun's face changed. The easy smile disappeared. Because I am human, just like you. That's impossible. Humans don't live for 200 years. No, but we reproduce. Kijun started walking toward the exit. Come on, we need to get out of here before the automated systems notice you're gone. I'll explain everything once we're safe. Deho followed him through corridors he remembered. But everything was different now? The lights were dimmer? The air smelled stale. Alien writing on the walls had faded until it was barely readable. Wait. Deho stopped walking. You said we... There are other humans. Kijun turned back to him. Oh yes, more than you might think. But we're very good at staying hidden. They reached an old cargo bay. Kichun's ship sat in the middle of it. The vessel looked like a pile of scrap metal held together with hope and welding, but the engines hummed with quiet power. Before we go anywhere, Deho said, I need answers. What happened to the human colonies? Where is my sister? Why are you hiding? Kichun's expression grew sad. Your sister died 130 years ago. Old age, she lived a good life, had children. Your family line continues. The words hit Deho like a physical blow. So young. Was gone, had been gone longer than she had been alive when he knew her. What about the colonies? Officially? Wiped out by plague 150 years ago. Every human settlement infected. Whole species declared extinct. Kijun activated the ship's boarding ramp. Unofficially, we got better at hiding. Plague? Deho felt that old familiar anger building again. What kind of plague? The kind that comes in metal containers with warning labels. Kichun's voice turned bitter. Started on the outer colonies first? Spread too fast to be natural. Killed exactly the right percentage to look like a real disease. Deho understood immediately. They murdered us. They tried to, but humans are harder to kill than most aliens think. Kijun gestured to his ship. Get aboard. I'll show you what's left of humanity. You're going to like it. The ship's interior was cramped but clean. Strange technology lined the walls. Some of it looked human-made, but advanced beyond anything Deho remembered. Other pieces were clearly alien in origin. Where did you get all this? Deho asked. We built some of it. Stole the rest. Kijun started the takeoff sequence. Turns out humans are good at salvage. 200 years of practice makes you excellent at it. The ship lifted off silently. Through the viewports, Deho watched the station fall away below them. It looked dead empty, like a tomb floating in space. The galaxy thinks we're extinct, Kijun continued as they flew into open space. Makes it easy to move around. Nobody looks for ghosts. How many of us are left? Nobody knows exactly. We don't keep central records. Too dangerous. But I'd guess maybe 10 million spread across 100 hidden settlements. 10 million. Before the plague, there had been nearly 1 billion humans. But 10 million was not extinction, it was survival. Why didn't you fight back? Deho asked. Why hide instead of striking at them? Kijun looked at him with something like pity. Who says we didn't fight back? But there's a time for fighting and a time for surviving. We chose survival first. The ship's scanners showed empty space ahead. But Kijun touched a control panel and suddenly an asteroid appeared on the screen. It had been hidden by some kind of cloaking field. Welcome to New Sol, Kijun said. One of our bigger settlements, home to about 50,000 humans. As they flew closer, Daeho could see the asteroid was hollow. Inside, lights twinkled like stars. Buildings and machines filled the space. Ships moved between docking ports. It looked like a city floating in space. 50,000, Daeho whispered. In one place? We've gotten good at hiding in plain sight. This asteroid is listed in all the galactic charts as empty. Sensors show nothing but rock, but inside ... Kijun smiled properly for the first time. Inside, we've built something the aliens never expected. What's that? Hope. The ship docked at a port deep inside the asteroid. As Daeho stepped out, he saw human faces for the first time in 2 centuries. Men and women and children, all looking at him with curiosity and excitement. An older woman approached them. She had gray hair and sharp eyes. Her clothes were well made but practical. So this is our sleeping beauty, the man who punched a Vorthak and lived to tell about it. Yung Hana, Kijun said. Meet Kang Daeho. Daeho, this is Hana. She runs. Things around here. Hana studied Daeho's face. You look like your sister. She talked about you sometimes. The angry brother who wouldn't bow to aliens. You knew so young? I was her student. Long time ago. Hana's expression softened. She would be proud to see you now, still angry after all these years. Daeho looked around at the human settlement, at the faces of people who had survived when the galaxy wanted them dead, at the children who existed because their parents had refused to give up. Angrier than ever, he said. Hana led Daeho through the streets of New Seoul. The city was larger than it had looked from the docking bay. Buildings rose in tiers around the asteroid's inner walls. Gardens grew under artificial sunlight. Children played in parks while their parents worked in shops and factories. It's beautiful, Daeho said. He had not expected this. When Kijun said humans were hiding, he imagined people living in caves or abandoned ships. Not a thriving city. Your sister helped design the agricultural systems, Hana said. Her research on soil composition made all this possible. We can grow food in almost any environment now. They passed a memorial wall covered with names. Thousands of them carved into black stone. Daeho stopped to read. Park So Young was near the top of one section. Everyone who died in the plague, Hana explained. We remember them all. Even though they were murdered? Hana's face hardened. Especially because they were murdered. We will never forget what was done to us. They continued walking. Daeho noticed things that seemed out of place. Some of the technology was too advanced for humans to have built. Energy systems that hummed with unfamiliar power. Weapons that definitely were not human-made. Where did all this come from? He asked. We had help, Hana said. Not all aliens agreed with what happened to humanity. Some of them had consciences. They reached a large building in the city center. Hana led him inside to an elevator that dropped deep into the asteroid. When the doors opened, they emerged into a command center that rivaled anything Daeho had seen in his old life. Screens covered the walls showing star maps, ship movements, and data streams. Dozens of people worked at control stations. Some looked human, but others clearly were not. Daeho saw aliens with blue skin, others with scales, and one with tentacles instead of arms. Defectors, Hana said, noticing his stare. Aliens who couldn't stomach genocide. They've been helping us for decades. A man approached them from across the room. He was tall and broad-shouldered, with graying hair and scars on his face. His clothes were military, but not in any style Daeho recognized. This is Lee Tae-sung, Hana said, our military advisor. Tae-sung studied Daeho carefully. You're the one who started all this. I hit someone who deserved it. Yes, and that punch echoed across the galaxy. Tae-sung gestured to the command center around them. Did you know that within a month of your sentencing, human resistance groups formed on 20 different worlds? Daeho blinked. What? Your trial was broadcast wide, Hana explained. The aliens wanted to show what happened to humans, who stepped out of line. Instead, they showed millions of humans a man who refused to bow. The resistance movements fought for years, Taesung continued. Some used violence. Others used sabotage. A few tried political resistance. None of them worked alone, but together they made the aliens nervous. Nervous enough to commit genocide, Daeho said bitterly. Yes, but also nervous enough to make mistakes. A new voice joined the conversation. A younger man with clever eyes and oil-stained hands walked over. I'm Choi Min-soo. I handle our technology acquisitions. He's our chief thief, Hana said with a smile. I prefer redistribution specialist, Min-soo said. And you'll be interested to know that we've been redistributing alien technology for over a century. Weapons, ships, manufacturing equipment. Amazing what people throw away when they think nobody is watching. Taesung led them to a large table, with a holographic star map floating above it. Red dots marked human settlements. There were more than Daeho had expected. 87 confirmed settlements, Taesung said. Probably another 20 we haven't contacted yet. Total population somewhere between 8 and 12 million. How do you coordinate without the aliens noticing? Carefully, Min-soo said. We use their own communication networks against them. Hide our messages in routine cargo manifests. Piggyback on alien data streams. They're looking for organized resistance, so we stay disorganized on purpose. Hana touched a control. The map zoomed in on their sector. Each settlement operates independently. If one gets discovered, the others survive. But we share information and resources when possible. What kind of information? Alien ship movements, political changes, technical specifications for their equipment. Taesung's expression grew grim. And evidence of what really happened to our people. The map changed to show medical data, disease progression charts, population statistics, transport records. The pattern was clear once you knew what to look for. The plague started on 12 different worlds at exactly the same time, Hana said. Always on the outer colonies first. Always spreading at the same rate, always killing the same percentage of the population. But not everyone died, Min-soo added. About 15% of humans showed natural immunity. Just enough to make the genocide look like bad luck instead of murder. Daeho studied the data, his hands clenched into fists. They planned this for years, decades, Taesung confirmed. Your trial convinced them that humans would never accept their version of galactic order. So they decided to eliminate the problem. Permanently. Who ordered it? The same tribunal that sentenced you. Chancellor Veltar is still in power. The Vorthek lied for centuries. Hana's voice carried old pain. He's been bragging about the peaceful galaxy he created ever since. The last human colony officially died. Officially, Daeho repeated. Oh yes, as far as the galaxy knows, we're extinct. A cautionary tale about aggressive species that couldn't adapt to civilization? Min-soo pulled up news reports from the alien networks. They even built memorials. To us, very touching. The reports showed alien leaders giving speeches about the tragic loss of humanity. They spoke about learning from history and preventing future extinctions. Veltar himself appeared in several broadcasts, looking solemn and wise. Hypocrites, Daeho spat. Useful hypocrites, Hana corrected. Their guilt makes them careless. They don't look too closely at old sensor readings or investigate strange energy signatures. Why would they? We're all dead. Taesung brought up another set of data. But their carelessness is also our opportunity. We've been preparing for something big. A way to announce our survival to the entire galaxy at once. What kind of announcement? The kind that can't be ignored or covered up? Hana smiled, and it was not a nice expression. The kind that shows every species in the galaxy exactly what the tribunal did to us. Double quotes. Min-soo activated another hologram. This one showed technical schematics for some kind of broadcasting system. We've spent 50 years building a network of hidden transmitters. They're positioned near major trade routes and communication hubs throughout known space. When we activate them simultaneously, Taesung explained, every screen, every communication device, every data terminal in the galaxy will receive our message. There won't be any way to block it or deny it. What message? Deho asked. Proof that humans survived. Evidence of the genocide. And a declaration that we're done hiding. As eyes burned with long-suppressed fury. We're going to show them that you can't kill an entire species and get away with it. How do I fit into this plan? You're the key to everything, Taesung sighed. A legal loophole we can exploit, Deho frowned. What do you mean? You were never officially declared dead, Hana explained. Your cryo sentence is still active in the Galactic Legal Database, which means you still have legal standing to demand a hearing about your case. A hearing? In front of the same tribunal that sentenced you, with full galaxy-wide broadcast rights. Minsu grinned. It's an old law designed to show how fair, and just the galactic legal system is. They can't refuse without looking like tyrants. And once you're in that chamber, Taesung continued, with cameras broadcasting your words to every world in known space, you can tell them exactly what happened to humanity. Deho looked around at the three humans who had spent their lives preparing for this moment. At the alien defectors who had risked everything to help them. At the data that proved genocide and the technology that could expose it. You want me to go back, he said, to face them again. We want you to finish what you started 200 years ago, Hana said. When you hit that alien, you showed the galaxy that humans don't bow. Now we want you to show them that we don't stay down either. Deho thought about his sister, dead for over a century. About the billions of humans murdered by a plague that was no plague at all. About the children growing up in hidden cities. Because their very existence was considered impossible. When do we start? He asked. The training began immediately. Hana led Deho to a section of New Seoul he had not seen before. Underground chambers filled with equipment and weapons. Other humans practiced combat techniques or studied alien languages on screens. Your anger is useful, Hana said as they walked. But raw fury will get you killed. We need to shape it into something more precise. She brought him to a room lined with mirrors. Mats covered the floor. Physical training first. Your body remembers how to fight, but it needs to remember the right way. For hours each day, Deho practiced. His muscles had retained their memory from before the freeze, but they needed strengthening. Hana taught him new techniques developed during the resistance years. Ways to fight aliens with different body structures. How to use their size and strength against them. Vorthak have 4 arms but poor balance, she explained as they sparred. Get them off their feet and half their advantages disappear. What about Krell? Tough skin, but joints are vulnerable. And they're slower than they look. Deho absorbed every lesson. His anger gave him focus. Every technique was another tool for eventual justice. In the afternoons, Taesung taught him about galactic politics. The old soldier had maps of every major system and detailed files on alien leaders. Veltar has been chancellor for over 300 years, Taesung explained. He's seen as the architect of galactic peace. Very popular among the member species. Because he eliminated the troublemakers, Deho said. Exactly, but popularity can become a weakness. He's overconfident now. Believes his own propaganda about creating a perfect society. Taesung showed him footage of recent tribunal sessions. The same chamber where Deho had been sentenced but changed, newer technology. Different alien faces in some of the seats. But Veltar still sat at the highest platform looking exactly the same. Vorthak aged slowly, Taesung noted. To him, your trial probably feels like it happened yesterday. Good, then he'll remember why he wanted me frozen. That's what we're counting on. His pride will make him want to display you as proof of galactic justice. The reformed human who learned to behave. Minsu handled the technical aspects of Deho's education. The young engineer was a genius with alien technology. He showed Deho devices that seemed impossible. This looks like a standard medical implant, Minsu said, holding up a small metal disc. But it's actually a quantum communicator. Once it's in your body, we can send and receive data without any alien equipment detecting it. How? How? Your sister's work, actually. She discovered that human neural patterns can carry quantum encrypted signals. The aliens never figured that out, because they assumed we were too primitive. They also gave him memory training. Hours spent reviewing old human settlements, alien trade routes, and resistance networks. Information that had been useless when he went into Cryo-Jail but was now vital intelligence. The aliens never changed their basic systems, Hana explained. They got comfortable after we died, same security protocols, same bureaucratic procedures, same weaknesses. What weaknesses? They document everything. Every order, every decision, every death gets recorded somewhere. We just need access to the right databases. Taesung brought up classified files they had stolen over the years. Personnel records, medical reports, communication logs. The evidence was overwhelming once you put it together properly. Here's the order authorizing plague research, he said, pointing to a document marked with official tribunal seals. Signed by Veltar himself. And here are the deployment schedules, Minsu added, showing transport manifests. Biological weapons disguised as medical supplies, shipped to every human colony within a 6-month period. The kill rates were calculated. Precisely, Hana said. Enough deaths to eliminate organized resistance, but not so many that it looked obviously artificial. Daeho studied the documents. His anger burned cold and steady now. Not the explosive fury from 2 centuries ago, but something deeper, more dangerous. They planned every detail, he said. Yes, but they made one crucial mistake. Taesung smiled. Grimly, they assumed dead humans couldn't testify against them. The weeks passed quickly. Daeho's body grew stronger. His mind absorbed decades of hidden human knowledge. His anger transformed from rage into purpose. Han attested his self-control constantly. She would insult his sister, mock his failure to save the colonies, suggest that his sacrifice was meaningless. Each time, Daeho remained calm on the surface while his fury burned beneath. Good, she said after one particularly harsh session. The tribunal will try to provoke you. They want you to lose control and prove that humans are still violent animals. What if I do lose control? Then we all die and humanity stays hidden forever. Her expression was serious. This is our one chance, Daeho. If you fail, there won't be another opportunity for generations. Taesung taught him about the legal system he would face. Galactic law was complex, built over centuries of compromise between different species. But it had rules that could be exploited. You're right, too? A hearing is absolute, the old soldier explained. It's written into the founding documents of the tribunal. They cannot refuse without violating their own most sacred laws. What if they just ignore the law? Then they prove they're tyrants instead of protectors of justice. Either way, we win. But it's better if they follow their own rules. Minsu showed him how the broadcasting system would work. Hidden transmitters throughout the galaxy, all connected through quantum encrypted networks. When activated, they would override every communication channel simultaneously. The signal will last exactly 1 hour, he explained. That's as long as we can maintain the connection before their security systems adapt. You'll have one chance to tell the entire galaxy what really happened. 1 hour to undo 2 centuries of lies. 1 hour to bring humanity back from the dead. As his training neared completion, Daeho spent time with the children of New Seoul. They had been born in hiding but carried no shame about their existence. They were proud to be human, even if they had to whisper it. A girl named ACO Jin, maybe 8 years old, asked him about Earth. The old human homeworld had been abandoned long before the plague. Too crowded, too polluted. Most humans had spread to the colonies by then. Was it really blue and green? She asked. Parts of it, Daeho said, and the sky was always changing. Clouds would move across it like ships on an ocean. I want to see it someday. Maybe you will. When it's safe for humans to travel openly again. When will that be? Daeho looked at the child's hopeful face, at the other children listening nearby. They deserved better than hiding in asteroids and living as ghosts. Soon, he said, very soon. Hana found him later that evening. They stood on an observation deck looking out at the stars through the asteroid's transparent aluminum windows. "Are you ready?" she asked. Deho flexed his hands. The same hands that had punched a Vorthic official 2 centuries ago. But now they were tools of something larger than personal anger. "I'm ready to finish what I started. The shuttle leaves tomorrow. Kijun will take you to the tribunal station. From there, you're on your own until the signal activates. What if they suspect something? They won't. To them, you're just an old criminal who got forgotten in bureaucratic shuffle. A curiosity to be displayed and dismissed." They have no idea what's coming. Deho nodded. 200 years of planning and preparation had led to this moment. The anger that had sustained him through the long freeze was ready to light a fire across the galaxy. "For so young," he said quietly. "For all of them," Hana replied. "The dead and the living. Time to remind the galaxy that humans don't stay buried." The final preparations took place in a hidden chamber deep beneath New Seoul. Hana, Taesung, Minsu, and several other resistance leaders gathered around a holographic display showing the tribunal station. "Operation Lazarus," Hana announced. "Named after the human who came back from the dead." Deho studied the station's layout. It had grown larger over the centuries. New sections had been added, more security systems. But the basic structure remained the same. The hearing chamber. "Is here," Taesung pointed to the station's center. "Full broadcast capability to every world in the galaxy. Standard procedure for high-profile cases." "What makes my case high-profile?" Deho asked. "You're the last officially living human in galactic legal records," Minsu explained. "The only member of an extinct species with legal standing. The alien media will eat it up." A woman Deho had not met before stepped forward. She was middle-aged with sharp features and intelligent eyes. "Kim Yoo-jin," she introduced herself. "I create identities that can fool any security system." She handed Deho a datapad containing his new documentation. "As far as the galactic database knows, you've spent the last 5 years in a rehabilitation facility on Kepler 7, model prisoner, completely reformed. Ready to rejoin civilized society. Rehabilitation for what? Anger management therapy. Cultural sensitivity training. Basic etiquette for interacting with superior species." Yoo-jin's voice dripped with sarcasm. "All the things they think violent humans need to learn." Taesung brought up another display showing transport schedules. A diplomatic courier ship will arrive at the old cryo facility tomorrow. Routine inspection of abandoned assets. Kijun will be aboard as a salvage assessor. The ship's manifest lists you as recovered cargo, Yoo-jin added. A forgotten prisoner being transferred to proper authorities for processing. "Once you reach the tribunal station," Hana continued, "you'll request your legal hearing. They have to grant it within 72 hours. Minsu activated another hologram showing communication networks throughout the galaxy. "While you're establishing your legal standing, we'll be making final preparations for the broadcast." The plan was complex but elegant. Dozens of hidden transmitters positioned near major population centers. Quantum encrypted signals that would piggyback on existing alien communication networks. A coordinated override that would reach every inhabited world simultaneously. "The transmission will begin the moment you start speaking at your hearing," Minsu explained. "Every word you say will reach billions of aliens across the galaxy." "What about their security systems?" "They'll try to cut the signal, of course. But we've had decades to study their countermeasures." Minsu grinned. "They're very good at stopping normal hacking attempts. Not so good against technology they don't know exists." A new face joined the group. Shin Biora was young, maybe 25, with the focused intensity of someone who lived with computers more than people. "I handle the narrative structure," she said without preamble. "What you say and how you say it matters. We get one chance to make the galaxy listen." Biora activated a presentation that showed public opinion data from across alien space. The average galactic citizen has been taught that humans were a tragic example of evolutionary failure. too aggressive to survive in modern civilization. We need to flip that narrative, Hana said. Show them that human aggression was actually resistance to oppression. More importantly, Taesung added, we need to prove that the genocide was deliberate. Not an accident or natural disaster, but calculated murder. Bo-Ora brought up speaking notes she had prepared. Start with your personal story, the alien who was extorting dying children, your decision to fight back. Frame it as protecting the innocent, not mindless violence. Then reveal the evidence, Minsu said. Ship manifest, communication logs, medical records, all the proof we've gathered over the decades. End with the revelation that humans survived, Hana concluded. That we're still here, still fighting, still refusing to bow to tyranny. Daeho reviewed the materials they had prepared. Documents that proved genocide, video testimony from survivors. Even some alien defectors willing to speak on camera about what they had witnessed. This is enough evidence to bring down the tribunal, he said. If anyone bothers to look at it objectively, Taesung replied. But politics isn't about objectivity. It's about power and perception. Yujin showed him the final piece of his false identity. Medical records indicating successful psychological treatment. Testimonials from alien therapists praising his progress. Awards for good behavior and cultural adaptation. You're the poster child for successful rehabilitation, she said. Living proof that even violent humans can be reformed through proper guidance. The irony will be lost on them until it's too late, Hana noted with satisfaction. Minsu brought up technical specifications for the quantum communicator they would implant in Daeho's body. It looks like a standard medical monitor, something a recently released prisoner might have for health tracking. But it will let us coordinate timing with your speech, Bo-Ora added. The moment you say the activation phrase, our transmitters will come online. What's the activation phrase? Humanity remembers, Hana said. Simple, clear, and exactly what we want the galaxy to hear. They spent hours rehearsing different scenarios. What if the tribunal tried to cut his speech short? What if they refused to hear evidence? What if station security tried to arrest him before he could speak? The beauty of the legal system is its predictability, Taesung explained. They follow procedures even when it's inconvenient. Your right to speak at your own hearing is absolute. And if they try to silence you by force, Minsu added, they'll be doing it in front of cameras broadcasting to every world in known space. That kind of obvious tyranny has a way of backfiring. As the meeting wound down, each team member confirmed their readiness. Yujin had created false identities for 36 humans who would emerge from hiding after the broadcast. Minsu had backup transmitters ready if the primary network failed. Bo-Ora had prepared follow-up messages to maintain momentum after the initial revelation. One question, Daeho said. What happens after I reveal everything? The tribunal won't. Just let me walk away. No, Hana agreed. They'll probably try to kill you. Maybe not immediately, but eventually. I figured, but it won't matter, Taesung said. Once the truth is out there, eliminating you won't put it back in the box. If anything, martyring the last legal human will just make things worse for them. Besides, Minsu added with a grin, who says you have to make it easy for them? Hana handed Daeho a small device that looked like a standard emergency beacon. If things go badly, activate this. It will signal our extraction team. You have people on the station? We have people everywhere, she said. Humans who've been passing as aliens for decades. Maintenance workers, technicians, even some low-level officials. The galaxy is full of ghosts. As the group dispersed to make final preparations, Hana pulled Daeho aside. Are you having second thoughts? He considered the question. Tomorrow he would return to the place where his nightmare began. Face the aliens who had tried to break his spirit. Risk everything on a plan that depended on perfect timing and incredible luck. No second thoughts, he said. Just wondering what my sister would think of all this. She'd be proud, Hana said without hesitation. So young, spent her whole life trying to keep humanity alive. You're about to bring us back from extinction, Daeho nodded. The anger that had sustained him for 2 centuries was ready to serve a larger purpose. Tomorrow, the galaxy would learn that some fires never die. They just wait for the right moment to burn the world down. For the dead and the living, he said. For the dead and the living, Hana agreed. The courier ship approached the tribunal station with routine bureaucratic indifference. Kijun sat in the pilot's seat wearing the uniform of a salvage assessor. Daeho was listed in the cargo manifest as recovered biological material human. Prisoner cryopreserved. Remember, Kijun said as they docked, you're a reformed convict. Grateful for the chance to rejoin civilized society, humble and apologetic. Daeho wore simple gray clothes that marked him as a recently released prisoner. The quantum communicator sat beneath his skin like a tiny medical implant. To any scanner, he looked exactly like what his forged documents claimed, a successfully rehabilitated human. Station security met them at the airlock. 2 Krell guards scanned the ship's manifest and Kichun's identification. They barely glanced at Daeho. Prisoner transfer, Cargo Bay 7, one guard rumbled in broken galactic common. Medical examination required before processing. Of course, Kijun replied. Standard procedure. They escorted Daeho through corridors he remembered from 2 centuries ago. The station had grown, but the basic layout remained the same. More shops and restaurants lined the main passages. Alien families walked together, their children playing games as they moved between transport connections, a peaceful, prosperous society built on the bones of his people. The medical examination was routine. An automated scanner checked his vital signs and confirmed his identity against the rehabilitation facility's records. The examining physician was a Xanthari with 6 arms and compound eyes. Excellent recovery, she noted, reviewing his false medical history. The anger suppression therapy appears highly successful. Thank you, Doctor, Daeho said, keeping his voice humble. The counselors at Kepler 7 helped me understand my mistakes. What mistakes were those? I let my emotions control my actions. I failed to respect the wisdom of superior species. The words tasted like poison, but he forced them out. I'm grateful for the chance to learn better ways. The doctor made approving notes in his file. The tribunal will be pleased to see such successful rehabilitation. Proof that even the most violent species can be reformed through proper guidance. I hope so, Doctor. I just want to contribute to galactic society in a positive way. Commendable attitude. You will be processed for hearing assignment within 24 hours. Daeho was assigned temporary quarters in the station's prisoner holding area. The room was small but clean. A bed, a basic computer terminal, and a small viewport looking out at the stars. He had stayed in worse places during his cargo hauling days, but the view was wrong. 2 centuries ago, this section of space had been busy with human shipping traffic. Now it was nearly empty. Just a few alien vessels moving between distant systems where human colonies used to thrive. The computer terminal chimed with an incoming message. His hearing had been scheduled for tomorrow at midday. Standard broadcast protocols would apply, as befitted the legal curiosity of the last living human. That evening, Daeho was visited by a court liaison. Ko Yoonji appeared to be a young Altarian with blue skin and silver hair. But when she spoke, her accent was subtly wrong. Prisoner. Kang, I'm here to help you prepare for tomorrow's hearing, she said in perfect galactic standard. Daeho studied her face. Something familiar in the eyes. Thank you. I want to make sure I present myself properly. Of course. The tribunal is very interested in your case. Chancellor Veltar himself will be presiding. As she spoke, she made subtle hand signals. Old human military code that Taesung had taught him. Friend, safe, proceed as planned. I'm honored by the Chancellor's attention, Daeho replied, signaling back his understanding. EU Unji spent an hour briefing him on core procedures while simultaneously passing information through hand signals. The Resistance had agents throughout the station. His extraction route was prepared. The transmitter network was ready for activation. The hearing will be broadcast galaxy-wide, she said aloud. An example of galactic justice and successful rehabilitation. Your speech will reach 12 billion people, her hands added. Make it count. After she left, Deho lay on his narrow bed and stared at the ceiling. Tomorrow, he would face the aliens who had tried to erase his entire species. In a few hours, the galaxy would learn that humanity had never gone away. They had just been waiting for the right moment to return. Sleep came fitfully. He dreamed of So Young working in her laboratory, trying to solve problems that would help people survive. He dreamed of the children in New Seoul asking about Earth's blue skies. He dreamed of Veltar's surprised face when the dead started speaking. Morning brought another visit from Yunji. She helped him dress in formal prisoner's clothing, simple, but clean garments that marked his status as a reformed convict seeking reintegration. Remember, she said as they walked toward the hearing chamber, show proper respect for the tribunal. Express gratitude for their wisdom and mercy. The galaxy is watching, her hands warned. Every word matters. The hearing chamber had been expanded since Deho's last visit, but it retained the same intimidating grandeur. Alien representatives from dozens of species sat on floating platforms arranged in tiers around a central speaking area. Cameras recorded everything for broadcast throughout known space. Chancellor Veltar sat on the highest platform, exactly where he had been 2 centuries ago. His gray skin looked older now, more weathered, but his eyes held the same cold intelligence. He studied Deho with obvious curiosity. Prisoner Kang Deho, Veltar's voice carried clearly through the chamber's acoustic systems. You stand before this tribunal as a living reminder of a species that could not adapt to civilized society. Yes, Chancellor, Deho replied, keeping his voice humble. I am grateful for the opportunity to demonstrate that individuals can change, even when their species cannot. Indeed, your rehabilitation represents a triumph of modern correctional science. Tell us, what have you learned during your treatment? This was the moment Deho had been preparing for. The quantum communicator under his skin detected the specific acoustic patterns of the hearing chamber. Minsu's transmitter network was online and waiting. I have learned many things, Chancellor, Deho began. I learned that my people were not the monsters you claimed we were. A murmur ran through the chamber. This was not the expected script. I learned that the plague that killed my species was not natural, Deho continued, his voice growing stronger. I learned that genocide was planned in this very chamber. Silence, Veltar commanded. You will not disrupt these proceedings with primitive conspiracy theories. And most importantly, Deho said, speaking directly to the cameras, I learned that humanity remembers. The activation phrase triggered the hidden transmitter network. Across the galaxy, every communication screen, every data terminal, every broadcast system suddenly carried the same signal. Deho's voice reached billions of alien ears simultaneously. My name is Kang Deho. I am human. My species was declared extinct 150 years ago, but we survived. We remember what was done to us, and we are done hiding. Security. Guards moved toward him, but Veltar raised a hand to stop them. Cutting off the broadcast now would only confirm everything Deho was saying. You killed billions of innocent people, Deho continued, staring directly at Veltar. You used biological weapons disguised as medical supplies. You recorded every order, every shipment, every death, and we have all of it. The chamber erupted in chaos. Alien representatives shouted questions and denials. Security systems tried frantically to cut the unauthorized broadcast signal, but Minsu's quantum encryption held firm. We have the manifest showing plague shipments to human colonies, Deho said, his voice cutting through the noise. We have communications ordering the extermination. We have medical reports proving the disease was artificially created. Lies, Veltar's composure finally cracked. Your species died from its own genetic weaknesses. We have testimony from your own people, Deho replied. Aliens who could not stomach genocide. Who kept records of what really happened. The main display screens around the chamber flickered and changed. Suddenly they showed documents, transport manifest, medical, research, signed orders, all bearing official tribunal seals, all proving systematic murder, Impossible, someone gasped. Those files are classified beyond maximum security. Human technology is more advanced than you assumed, Deho said. We've had 2 centuries to study your systems, to learn your weaknesses, to prepare for this moment. The chaos in the chamber spread to the galleries where alien media representatives scrambled to process what they were witnessing. Live broadcasts carried the revelation to every corner of known space. The galaxy believes you created peace by eliminating an aggressive species, Deho continued. But you only created the illusion of peace by murdering those who would not bow to tyranny. More screens activated throughout the chamber. These showed something even more shocking: video feeds from human settlements. New Sol, with its 50,000 residents, other asteroids and hidden colonies. Millions of faces looking directly into the cameras. We are still here, those faces said in unison. We survived, we remember, we will never bow. The message echoed across the galaxy in hundreds of languages, broadcast simultaneously to every inhabited world. The dead had risen to testify against their murderers. Valtar stared at the screen showy. The chamber descended into complete chaos. Alien representatives shouted questions, accusations, and denials. Some demanded answers from Valtar. Others called for immediate military action against the human settlements. Security forces surrounded Deho but seemed uncertain whether to arrest him or protect him. Throughout known space, the broadcast continued. Every screen showed the same images: thriving human communities, damning documents, and Deho standing calmly in the center of the storm he had unleashed. Citizens of the galaxy, Deho said, his voice somehow carrying over the noise, you have been lied to for 2 centuries. You were told that humans died from a natural plague, that our extinction was an unfortunate but inevitable result of our violent nature. The main screen switched to medical analysis of the artificial plague, data that proved its engineered origins. Genetic markers that could only have been created in a laboratory. The disease that killed my people was designed in tribunal research facilities, Deho continued. It was distributed through medical supply shipments to human colonies. It was calibrated to kill exactly the right percentage of our population to appear natural. A Zenthari representative tried to interrupt. These documents could be fabricated. There is no proof. There is testimony. Deho cut her off. The screens changed again, showing video recordings of aliens speaking directly to cameras. Scientists, transport workers, medical personnel, all admitting their roles in the genocide. We could not live with what we had done, one gray-skinned Vortex scientist said on the recording. The orders came from the highest levels. Create a weapon that would eliminate human resistance permanently. I transported the biological weapons, a Krell cargo captain admitted, disguised as medical supplies for dying children. I knew what they really were. I did it anyway. More testimonies followed. Dozens of aliens confessing their participation in systematic murder. The evidence was overwhelming, undeniable, and broadcast to every inhabited world simultaneously. Valtar finally found his voice. Even if these claims were true, it was necessary. Humans were a threat to galactic stability. Their violent nature made coexistence impossible. Violent? Deho laughed, and the sound was bitter. You want to see violence? Let me show you what 2 centuries of hidden anger looks like. He activated his emergency beacon. Throughout the station, hidden human agents revealed themselves. Maintenance workers dropped their disguises. Technical staff activated prepared equipment. Even some alien representatives pulled off synthetic skin to reveal human faces beneath. We have been here all along, Deho said as the chamber filled with humans emerging from hiding. Working your stations, maintaining your systems, listening to your secrets, waiting for this moment. Ko Yoonji was among them, her blue skin dissolving to reveal a human woman with determined eyes. 23 years I've worked on this station, she announced. 23 years of recording your conversations, copying your files, learning your weaknesses. More humans appeared throughout the chamber. Some had been hiding as aliens for decades. Others were recent infiltrators who had used stolen identities to gain access. All of them now stood revealed as living proof that humanity had never been extinct. The broadcast expanded beyond the chamber. Hidden cameras throughout the station showed human agents in critical positions. The power systems, communication networks, security controls, life support. You built your peaceful galaxy on our graves, Deho said, but we were never dead. We were just waiting underground like seeds in winter soil, ready to grow again. When the time was right, panic spread through the alien sections of the station. Some tried to evacuate. Others demanded military intervention. A few species representatives began calculating how this revelation would affect their own political positions, but the broadcast continued relentlessly. More human settlements revealed themselves across the galaxy. Hidden colonies in asteroid belts, underground cities on supposedly uninhabited worlds, even populations that had been living openly but had disguised their true nature for generations. 12 million humans, Deho announced, spread across 200 worlds. We survived your genocide. We thrived in the shadows. We grew stronger while you congratulated yourselves on eliminating us. The numbers were staggering. Far more humans had survived than anyone had imagined. They had been hiding in plain sight for generations, waiting for the right moment to emerge. Veltar stared at the screens showing human faces across the galaxy. His carefully constructed piece was crumbling in real time. This changes nothing, he said desperately. You are still a violent species, still a threat to civilized society, are we? Deho asked. In 2 centuries of hiding, how many aliens have we killed? How many worlds have we conquered? How many species have we exterminated? The question hung in the air. The answer was obvious to everyone watching. 0. Despite having the ability to strike from hiding, humans had chosen survival over revenge. We could have poisoned your water supplies, Deho continued. We could have sabotaged your ships. We could have done to you exactly what you did to us. But we didn't. Because despite what you believe about us, we are not monsters. The chamber fell silent except for the hum of recording equipment broadcasting everything to the galaxy. Billions of aliens watched as their fundamental assumptions about humanity crumbled. We are angry, Deho admitted. We have been angry for 200 years. But we channeled that anger into survival instead of destruction, into building new homes instead of burning down yours. He gestured to the screen showing human settlements. Look at what we created while you thought we were dead. Schools for our children, hospitals for our sick, farms to feed our families. We built a civilization in the shadows while you celebrated our extinction. But now we are done hiding, he continued, his voice growing stronger. We are done pretending to be extinct. We are done letting you define what humanity means. The screen switched to show human achievements, art and music created in hidden colonies, scientific discoveries made by researchers the galaxy thought were dead, technological advances that had allowed them to remain undetected for centuries. This is who we really are, Deho said. Not the violent savages you described in your history books. We are builders, protectors, survivors. We are the species that refuses to give up even when the entire galaxy wants us gone. A new voice joined the broadcast. Hana appeared on the main screen from New Soul's command center. People of the galaxy, she said, we did not ask to be murdered. We did not ask to be forgotten, but we adapted. We survived. And now we return to claim our place among the stars. Similar messages came from human settlements throughout known space. Leaders who had spent their lives in hiding now spoke openly to the galaxy. Their words were calm, measured, and utterly devastating to the tribunal's credibility. We offer peace to those who treated us with dignity, Hana continued. We offer trade to those who respect our sovereignty. We offer friendship to those who acknowledge our right to exist. But to those who ordered our extermination, another human leader added from a different settlement, we offer justice, not revenge, justice. The broadcast showed evidence rooms in human settlements, warehouses full of documented proof of genocide, testimony from thousands of witnesses, medical analysis of the artificial plague, communication intercepts proving the tribunal's guilt. Every order is recorded, Deho said, turning back to Veltar. Every shipment is documented. Every death is attributed to its true cause. We have enough evidence to prosecute war crimes for the next century. You cannot prosecute us, Veltar said, but his voice lacked conviction. We are the legitimate government of this galaxy. Are you? Deho asked. A government that commits genocide? A government that lies to its own people? A government that maintains power through mass murder? The chamber's screen showed something new, ships moving throughout the galaxy. Not human ships, but vessels belonging to other species. Some were moving toward tribunal strongholds. Others were evacuating key personnel. It seems your member species are re-evaluating their loyalty, Deho observed. Amazing how quickly allies become former allies when the truth comes out. The broadcast had been running for nearly an hour. Across the galaxy, alien populations were responding to the revelations. Some with shock, some with anger at being deceived, some with guilt over their complicity in genocide. The age of the tribunal is ending, Deho announced. Not because we destroyed it, but because you destroyed yourselves. You built your power on lies, and lies eventually crumble. He looked directly into the cameras broadcasting his words across known space. To every species watching this, you have a choice. You can cling to the old system built on murder and deception, or you can help us build something better. What do you want? Veltar asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Deho smiled for the first time since awakening from cryo-sleep. It was not a nice smile, what I've always wanted, he said. Justice for the dead, freedom for the living, and proof that some things are worth staying angry about for 200 years. The immediate aftermath of the broadcast was chaos across the galaxy. Within hours of Deho's revelation, governments fell on a dozen worlds. Species that had been loyal to the tribunal for centuries suddenly found their populations demanding answers about genocide and cover-ups. On the tribunal station, Veltar sat in his private chambers under protective custody. The same security forces that had once followed his orders now guarded him from angry mobs of aliens who felt betrayed by his lies. He stared at reports streaming in from across known space. The Zeridian Confederation had withdrawn from the tribunal and announced war crimes investigations. The Altarian Republic was demanding access to all classified files about human extermination. 3 separate species had sent warships toward tribunal headquarters. How did we not know? His aide asked. How did 12 million humans hide for 2 centuries without us detecting them? Veltar did not answer. He was reading intelligence reports about human technology, quantum encryption methods that his best scientists could barely understand, genetic modification techniques that allowed humans to pass as other species, social infiltration so complete that humans had been working in sensitive positions throughout the galaxy. They were more advanced than we realized, he finally admitted. We assumed they were primitive because they appeared violent. We never considered that their aggression might mask sophisticated intelligence. What do we do now? Veltar looked at his aide with ancient, tired eyes. We prepare for the end of everything we built. Meanwhile, Deho stood in the same hearing chamber where his ordeal had begun. But now he was surrounded by allies instead of enemies. Human agents controlled the station's critical systems. Sympathetic aliens provided additional security. The balance of power had shifted completely. Ko-Unji approached him with a communication device. Hana wants to speak with you. The holographic display activated, showing the command center in New Seoul. Hana looked exhausted but triumphant. Behind her, dozens of humans worked at stations coordinating responses from across the galaxy. The broadcast worked better than we hoped, she reported. We're getting support from species we never expected. The Kethmoran Empire just offered us full diplomatic recognition. What about the tribunal loyalists? About what you'd expect. Military preparations. Threats of retaliation. Demands that we return to hiding. Hana's expression grew grim. Veltares' inner circle is planning something desperate. Deho was not surprised. Cornered tyrants rarely surrendered peacefully. How long before they act? Days, maybe hours. Our agents report unusual military movements near human settlements. They're probably planning strikes to prove we're still a threat. Let them come, Deho said. We're not hiding anymore. Over the following weeks, the galaxy transformed. The revelation of human survival had shattered the political order that had existed for 2 centuries. Old alliances crumbled. New coalitions formed. Species that had never questioned tribunal authority suddenly demanded representation in galactic governance. Human settlements began emerging from hiding. Ships that had traveled under false registrations now flew with human markings. Colonies that had disguised themselves as mining operations revealed thriving cities beneath their surfaces. The response was not universally positive. Some species, particularly those close to the tribunal leadership, viewed human survival as a threat to stability. Military skirmishes broke out in several sectors as die-hard loyalists attempted to complete the genocide they had started, but the humans were ready. 2 centuries of preparation had given them advantages their enemies did not expect. Ships that looked like civilian transports revealed hidden weapons. Seemingly defenseless colonies deployed orbital defense systems. Human technology, refined in secret for generations, proved surprisingly effective. Deho found himself at the center of diplomatic efforts to prevent full-scale war. Representatives from dozens of species came to meet the man who had triggered the galaxy's transformation. Some offered apologies for past complicity. Others sought alliance against tribunal remnants. A few demanded he control his species' desire for revenge. "We don't want revenge," he told a delegation of nervous alien diplomats. "We want justice. There's a difference." "What does justice look like to you?" asked Ambassador Kexnella of the Meridian Systems. "War crimes trials for those who ordered genocide, reparations for the colonies that were destroyed, recognition of human sovereignty over our remaining territories." Deho paused. "And guarantees that nothing like this ever happens again." "Those are reasonable demands," the ambassador admitted, "but many of our species fear human retaliation." "Your reputation for violence was earned defending ourselves against tyrants," Deho finished. "We've spent 2 centuries proving we can coexist peacefully when we're not being murdered. The question is whether your species can do the same." The trials began 6 months after the broadcast. A new galactic court was established with representatives from all surviving species. Human survivors testified about the genocide. Alien defectors provided evidence of the conspiracy. The documentation was overwhelming and undeniable. Veltar and his inner circle were convicted of crimes against sapient life. The sentences were death for some, life imprisonment for others. But the trials accomplished something more important than individual punishment. They established legal precedent that genocide was a crime against all civilization, not just its immediate victims. "Let this be remembered," Deho said at the closing ceremony. "Evil flourishes when good people stay silent. Today we ensure that silence will never enable mass murder again." A new galactic council formed from the ashes of the old tribunal. Human representatives took their seats alongside delegates from every other species. The age of human hiding was over. The age of human participation in galactic civilization had begun, but Deho did not seek political office. His role had been to light the fire that burned down the old system. Building the new one was work for younger hands and cooler heads. Instead, he returned to